Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John, and this is the most conflicted I've felt in a very long time, which has made it very hard for me to get a review out for The Car, which is the 7th album by the English band Arctic Monkeys. They're one of my favorite groups and have been for quite some time. In fact, if you watch my top 10 favorite bands, the most recent edition that I dropped in 2020, you see that they crawled inside the top 10, and a lot of that had to do with, sure, the consistency of their discography, but just how much I enjoyed Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, their 2018 album that really did turn over a new leaf, and it left a lot of fans in the dust, but I wasn't one of those. Artistic integrity and aging like a fine wine are kind of the perfect marriage for a band like Arctic Monkeys, who have consistently shown a will to evolve past what they were in their current form. I think it harkens back to their debut album title, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. Pigeonholing the lads in one lane or one genre is a futile process that I wouldn't want any part of. In fact, I found myself reinvigorated as a fan after the last album cycle, excited to see where these new horizons would carry their sound. In many ways, The Car does pick back up exactly where Tranquility Base left off 4 years prior. And is that a good thing? That's up to your personal ear, because of course at the end of the day, art is always subjective, but this one, more than others, is something that I find to be kinda divisive even to me, because there's moods that I'm in where I feel like it's very appropriate, and then there's other times where I just feel like I want to sleep. Peppery, tempered percussion lays down the drumming backbone to the album, and you have Matt Helders definitely shaking up his style, and even going on record to say it's never gonna be like Are You Mine Again, with the big riffs and that kind of sound. Kind of a weird and scary thought that I'm still processing, although I would take it with a grain of salt considering that Alex Turner was originally considering a rockier album before The Car ended up becoming The Car. When they unveiled the lead single, There'd Better Be a Mirrorball, I found myself entranced and sinking into the feeling that that track provides in spades. It's such a lush, atmospheric moment featuring some crooning from Alex Turner and also a really suave string section that feels like the band has the perfect synergy to match what they're laying down. I thought that beautiful track had me hanging in suspense, but Body Paint doubled down. It's a song that really deals with the idea of cheating in a relationship, an untrustworthy partner. There's still a trace of body paint when you've come back home. This is the big song, the track that's gonna sweep you off your feet because it lays down a lot in just under 5 minutes. This is a song that features a lot of great guitars at the end of the song, but what it takes to get there, the entire journey, is just a priceless payoff. But after that, things started to get complicated because I got early access to the album, I started streaming it early, and I've been streaming it since then, and each listen feels a little different to me, like I'm either off balance, in the zone, or kind of a mishmash of both. I could easily see a lot of people being very bored with this album. And even if you like Tranquility Base, you may be latched on to some of the scientific, sarcastic themes. This one is a little bit more intimate and personal, and I would say stripped back in different ways, although there are moments of gusto. The songwriting in places is as poignant as ever, and not to call other songs major flaws, but I do feel that the inertia is lacking behind some of the more heady and pensive moments that really kind of cut out the instrumentation and flip it to the side of the coin that's not really propelling the song anywhere interesting. Let's look at I Ain't Quite Where I Think I Am first, because this was another one of the singles that came out. I didn't hear it until the context of the album, and personally, I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think the driving narrative behind this one is kind of interesting, and it does get a bit better with some repeated listens. I just don't think the music is all that interesting, neither is the story. Sculptures of Anything Goes comes immediately after and completely blew me away, because this is the deep cut on the album that really deserves your focus and attention. We're greeted by a warbled synthesizer that almost reminds me a bit of some of the darker elements on AM back in 2013, and cross that with some of the textures that they've really gotten good at over the past few albums, and you've definitely got lightning and a bottle that feels like it's pushing the band forward, but in many ways it really does feel like one of the more Arctic Monkeys cuts on the record. Our title track, The Car, further complicates the equation because there are some really rich sonic elements that are packed in here, but at the same time you can't help but feel like the car is stalling, and it's something that takes a while to fully get going, and I can appreciate a slow burn. I think that Sculptures of Anything Goes does it really well, but this track, by the time we finally do get to those guitars that pay off towards the end, they sound magnificent, but there's a part of me that wants to almost just skip through a lot of the song to get there. The orchestral string arrangements are a really nice complement to the album, although there are places where it can feel like it's trying to save face and disguise the fact that it's not all that interesting musically. I don't think that's the majority of the time, but it certainly happens in a few cases. However, on the positive side of the spectrum, one other track that I wanted to shout out was Big Ideas. It's track 7 on album 7, and I really do like the way that Alex pushes this one forward. It feels very elegant and out of its league in some ways, but it's an idea that they tackle very well. Hello You is the only surviving song from the original 2019 demos when the Monkees were thinking about doing a new record, and what made it to the album is a bit out of place in some ways. I could see this being a single in the future. It's got some nice qualities, I do like the guitars, but by the final time things are drudging themselves back up, I just feel like I'm already over it. Irony is always fun, and I do feel that a lot of this album is soaked in that, but there is a line that I found to be ironic, probably unintentionally, on the song Jet Skis on the Moat. It's kind of a drab track. I don't really find a ton that I'm loving here. In some of the crooning, more falsetto-style vocals, it works better in other places, but there's a line here where Alex sings, "Watch while the paint job dries," and ironically, this song feels a little bit like watching paint dry. At the end of the day, you really can tell that the car was made with care. This wasn't some shoddy last-minute construction, but the thoughtfulness can turn to boringness in places. Just a little bit empty is what I'm left feeling. And the highs on this album might be a little bit higher than Tranquility Base, but overall, I think I like it a little bit less because thematically, it's just not sounding as dense. I don't feel like there's as much to dive into. And maybe those feelings will evolve with time, but there are some fantastic tracks on here from Mr. Schwartz with its slow-moving guitar that slowly drives home the story. It's like a spotlight is on Alex Turner. To the already loved tracks like some of the singles, Mirrorball, and of course Body Paint, two huge favorites of mine. This is a solid album, but not one of their best. Not a great one, but something I'm feeling very conflicted on. I'm going to give this a very strong 3 out of 5. If you'll allow me to quote their fellow English artist Declan McKenna, what do you think about the car? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please hit the like button, and remember, this is all just my opinion. I would love to hear yours. If you want to see more of my Arctic Monkeys countdowns and videos themed around them, then tap this playlist here, or tap here for my review of Tranquility Base. All of my socials can be found in the description, and I'll be back soon with more on ARTV.